Aloha kako, I'm Haylin. I'm an Oahu native. I'm a social worker, I'm a licensed therapist, and I'm a business owner and a nonprofit founder. But above all of that, I am a mother. I have 4 keiki. I have 4 pieces of my heart beating outside of my body, who have completely reshaped how I understand love, identity, and what it means to show up for something bigger than myself. Most of us don't like to talk about the pain that comes with motherhood, not from our kids, but because of what motherhood forces us to confront within ourselves. Because motherhood didn't just break me, it broke me open, and it asked me to rebuild from my truth. To me, motherhood is a mirror because it reflects back to us everything that we haven't healed. And it invites us to grow not only for our children, but also for ourselves. Tonight, I want to share 3 moments that have reshaped how I parent, how I lead, and how I exist in this world. 17 years ago, as a first-time mom, I truly believed that I was doing everything right. I had the degree, I was a therapist, I felt like I was an open-minded, open-hearted type of mom. So when my kid asked for boys' underwear at 3 years old, I got the Spider-Man print on and I ironed it on. And in the 5th grade, when he came out as gay, I thought I handled it pretty well. As long as he wasn't like transgender, I was gonna be okay with that. But one Sunday morning, when now he was in the 8th grade, before church, we were fighting about him wearing a pride shirt. And he was angry, his eyes full of tears. And he told me, "Mom, I am trans. You say that you support me. You say that you love me unconditionally, but you're asking me to hide who I am. And I really believe, Mom, that you are ashamed of me." And in that moment, it felt like the wind had been knocked out of me. I was not ashamed of my son. In fact, I was more ashamed of the other kids who were so naughty, and this kid was always so compliant and such a sweet kid. But he was speaking the truth that I'd never dared to say out loud, because I wasn't parenting from love, I was parenting from fear. And I was trying to protect my kid from a world that wasn't built for kids like him. But I was also teaching him that safety meant silence. So I made the decision in that moment to stop parenting with the goal of managing the outcomes of my children. And I started parenting with faith. Not only faith in God, but faith in who I was still becoming. I stopped trying to mold my kid into someone that the world would accept, and I started becoming the mother that he always deserved. That shift gave me the freedom to stand in his truth. That shift gave him the freedom to stand in his truth. And as I began to learn how to empower him, I realized that I had never given myself that same permission. Because let's be real, motherhood has a way of making us all feel like we're constantly falling short, no matter how hard we try. This brings me to my next shift in motherhood. Early on, I did have this perfect mom era. I did do like the perfect bentos and the animal rice musubis and all of that. But I really did suck at it. I was always 2 steps behind. I was late to pick up, forgot pajama day. I was completely lost in the mom group chats. And every time that I missed something, I didn't just feel bad. I punished myself with guilt and with shame and with that voice that tells you, you're a terrible mom, you're not good enough. I was raised in a world where motherhood meant nothing but sacrifice, where love often meant silence, where being a good mom meant putting everyone else first, even when there's nothing left of you. So I did what I thought I was supposed to do as a good mom. I leaned into sacrifice, I buried my ambition, and I got a good job, safe job in healthcare. On the outside, it looked really great, steady paycheck, respected title, good benefits. But on the inside, I felt so trapped in these golden handcuffs. I noticed this pattern that stirred this internal conflict in me. And it became harder and harder to ignore. Because no matter what hospital or company or institution that I worked for, I felt like there were decisions being made that didn't reflect the type of mental health care that I truly believed in. And over time, it felt like I was slowly losing a part of myself. So one day after another, frustrating day of giving so much to a job that didn't give anything back, I found myself crying on the bathroom floor and saying, I just can't do this anymore. It was a breaking point for me, and it was also a turning point. I chose to walk away from the safe job, the steady paycheck, and the golden handcuffs. I leaped into the unknown, trusting that there had to be a better way, not because I had a plan or I had a roadmap, but because I couldn't keep betraying myself and calling it love. And I want to acknowledge that this choice is a privilege or was a privilege. And many people in Hawaii, combining passion with a paycheck just does not exist, and it's not an option. So I knew that if I had that kind of privilege, it was my kuleana to do something with it. And when I looked around and saw that there were no tables that reflected what I stood for, I decided to build my own. I wanted to build something that was rooted in healing, in integrity, and in purpose. So I did. I launched my own business, supporting physicians and healthcare professionals who, like me, were burning out inside systems that often prioritized profits over people. Today, I still forget about pajama day, but I'm okay with that. And a year into my new business, my third shift happened. As we focused on supporting physicians through the pandemic, the nation was experiencing a different type of crisis. Youth suicide rates were at an all-time high, and Hawaii ranked dead last in access to mental health care. All the inpatient facilities, not the regular outpatient mental health facilities, but I'm talking about Kahimohala and Family Treatment Center and all of the ERs, there were no beds available because there's so many kids dying by suicide or attempting suicide. And I've never seen anything like that in 20 years. And I couldn't believe the level of suffering among our youth during that time. And behind every struggling child was a mother's tears, including my own. Behind every kid experiencing darkness, there's a parent doing their best, with no place to turn, no safe space, no hospital beds available, no place to gather. In Hawaii, for every 400 kids who need therapy and want therapy, there's only one available therapist. During that time, my own son was in middle school, and he was really, really struggling. And for the life of me, and even as a provider, I could not find any resources for him. So I did what mothers do. I leaned on my ohana, and I leaned on my community to create something that didn't exist yet. Against all sound advice, I took out a significant loan, and I opened a nonprofit in 2 months. This is how Spill the Tea Cafe was born. It started as a mother's cry, and it became a space for community healing. Today, we've grown to a team of 30 therapists, and we serve free boba every single day, and we are a safe space that is home to over 600 queer youth in Hawaii. We are not just offering free therapy to youth. We are building a pipeline, training interns with local universities, growing local clinicians by providing a clear roadmap to private practice. We are developing the mental health workforce Hawaii so desperately needs. We're showing young people that their healing can become their purpose, that they can make enough money in Hawaii to stay here, to serve here, and to thrive here. And we're supporting physicians too, so that they can keep doing the work that they love without sacrificing themselves to do it. Listen, I don't have a business background. I proudly went to public school, and I am a social worker by training. Spill the Tea Cafe is by far the hardest thing that I've ever done. And I know that there will be more moments in the future on the bathroom floor crying, wanting to give up on this mission. But today, that is no longer up to me, because Spill the Tea Cafe belongs to the community, and Spill the Tea Cafe belongs to our youth. It may not be a traditional clinic, but this is local care built by local people for local people, rooted in pain, sustained by purpose, and focused on the future. In closing, I didn't know it at the time, but every one of these moments, the painful, heart-wrenching shifts, was laying the foundation for something bigger than myself. Because courage, it doesn't feel like confidence. It doesn't feel like we're winning in that moment. Courage feels like fear until you start to move. And redefining motherhood is not about doing more. It's about becoming more of who you already are. Rising, falling, and then rising again. It's about showing our kids that pain is part of this journey, and rising after pain is how we build a future that is stronger than our past. Mahalo.